Good morning. Good morning. Yesterday, we went 24 hours without really using our smartphone, I will admit. And what are some key takeaways from it? Are you addicted to your phone? Maybe some of these key takeaways can help you balancing productivity and just having less screen time on the devices, because I know I get sucked into it pretty bad. So enjoy the morning show. Hopefully this can help. Cheers, friends. Good morning, and welcome back to another episode of the Talk Taryn Morning Show, where we go over tips, tricks, ideas, and exercise to help make you the absolute best entrepreneur you can be, not only for yourself, but for the people you love and care about most. This morning, good morning. Thanks for tuning into the show this morning. We're going to be talking about smartphones a little bit again and talking about the usage of it. And additionally, we're going to do a quick little recap on the signs of addiction to see if there's any habits, particularly bad habits, that we just want to reduce. We want to create a better relationship with. And I've always done really well with this model of just going without something and then seeing, where do I really need it? I think it's hard. It's been really hard for me to tell what social media apps, what technology tools, what relationships I really wanted and needed in my life until they were gone. You know that cliche saying of, you didn't know what you had until you lost it, or you didn't know what you got until it's gone. I think applying that for bad habits and applying that for just anything in our lives can be really good on a clarity sense of things. So this morning, I want to go over some smartphone detox takeaways, and then hopefully this can be convincing enough for you to just check in with yourself. What are the things that you want to be doing with your time? And are you losing a lot of time? I know I logged over 300 hours on my smartphone over the last 100 days. Well over 300 hours, almost creeping into 400 hours. And when I'm thinking about how long would it take to write a book? How long would it take to get in incredible shape and fitness? How long would it take? When I think of a lot of the things that I want to do, how long would that really take me? So hopefully we can find the time, and because these smartphones, they're such powerful tools, whether you're handling your business or you're catching up with your family, or there's so many reasons why it's so great and why everyone has them, but also too much of anything can be bad. And I know I personally was throwing a lot of that. But not all that time I was not all hundreds of those hours on that phone was good. Not true at all. So some key takeaways. Let's get it rocking and rolling. The first one is habits are stronger than logic. Habits are stronger than logic. So after the morning show, I would usually go pick up my phone and I would scroll around on a bunch of random crap and then it kind of took me into this rabbit hole or vortex into something random that I probably didn't need to be listening to, watching. 30 minutes later, and then I realized, oh man, I need to be doing this. So just a lot of lost productivity time. And I think I've been doing this for well over a decade. And I've only been super into personal development for the last 4 or 5 years. So you can see how much time I've really been building up this habit. It's like a muscle, and really been building up this muscle, this reflex of just picking it up in between things. And so I think if we can give ourselves a little grace and gratitude, if we can go without, then we can find where those little habits, where those little triggers, that muscle memory, that reflex, where those are actually at in our days. Because I think a lot of the times when we're just partaking in a bad habit, it's unconscious. It's just some type of coping thing. It's just a natural reflex to dive into it. So logically, I know that I want to represent productivity. I want to represent reducing stress in my life. I want to represent living happily and healthily at a very high level, so I can encourage other people to just take one step forward. I believe that is my purpose, my role in life. And so to do that, it's really hard to kind of pick and prod where these bad habits are at. And then I think going with, or just kind of stepping back, becoming that observer helps with just seeing where are the habits even at, what are we even committing to and doing. Next one up is I missed it a lot just discovering when I was using the smartphone. Like, when am I partaking in the bad habit? What time of day? What's going on? And it was usually around eating. It was usually around like in between things. And I'm not against taking a break, but for me, I look at a computer screen a lot. And I don't think it's a real break for my brain to go from one screen to the next. I really like the concept of, okay, so I've been reading and writing on my computer screen for like 3 hours now, show notes, doing this, coming back to clients, looking over some applications for our rental properties. It's like I've been a lot of digesting the screen time. I think doing something with my hands, like, or just getting outside, getting some sunlight, taking the dog for a walk, I think is a good counterbalance instead of just trying to, I'm tired of doing this, so I'm just going to go numb myself with my phone. And on the eating thing, maybe you've heard of this or not, conscious eating. So you're just very, I think we miss out on one of the most joyful experiences possible when we have to stimulate ourselves with entertainment while we're eating. And it kind of, I think that leads to overeating. And I think that leads to not like being as conscious of the type of foods that we're putting in, and we're not chewing our food nearly as much as we could, so it's putting a lot of wear and tear in our guts. So I think just taking a break, like, it's not going to kill you one day to just eat in silence and just like actually appreciate your meal, appreciate where it comes from, the process, like the farmers, the grocery stores. Like, the fact that we have a surplus of food in 2023 is, if you look at the history of humans, it is bonkers that this many people are not starving to death. So just having appreciation, I think that was one of my key takeaways, was just appreciation for the food that I have in front of me. And it even tasted way better. I felt like I was actually tasting the food and not just like doing something to take a break. Because a lot of times I'll just eat something because I'm bored, or I'll just eat something because I'm just like watching something on my smartphone or something like that. So I noticed, the point being, notice when the bad habits are arising, like when are you doing them, and then trying to figure out like how you can cut that out or minimize it, or like what's a better option. Like, it's good to just sit back instead of watching my smartphone every time I eat. Maybe one meal a day, I actually eat the meal, and I'm just sitting there and I'm giving myself my brain a real break, so it's not so chaotic 24/7. Okay. Next up, one of the key takeaways for the smartphone detox was I just naturally took more productive action. And this is probably the most beautiful thing of getting rid of bad habits, or just having more time available and doing what it is that you actually want to be doing. So I set no priorities for myself. I was like, my only goal today is to just not look at the smartphone. I don't have to do anything else. I think a lot of times I try to do too much. My to-do lists get too long, and I'm just not like doing them because it's like overwhelming. Like, the power of emotions, just like, oh, that's a little too much. I'm going to back off here a little bit. But when I just naturally cut down on the bad habits, I had more time. When I didn't just turn to my phone to cope and to numb myself and distract myself, I realized, damn, I actually have a lot of time in my day. Most of us do. We just are super distracted. So I was just super distracted by my smartphone, but instead, when that wasn't there, I just freed up like 4 hours of my day. And I was like, well, what do I want to do then? And I was like, so I picked up a book and I read for a while. I wrote some stuff down in my journal. I reached out to a couple clients. I made a couple social media posts. I followed up with some old clients. I just took productive action, because I was like, well, what do I actually want to do here? And then what was I going to fill my time with? So one of the beautiful things about destroying bad habits is, when you don't partake, what else do you actually want to do? And then when you can ask yourself what do I want to do? And then when you have the time and the energy to do it, voila, perfect. We tend to do it a little bit more. So I naturally took more productive action yesterday when I wasn't looking at my smartphone. So that was a huge plus. Next up is just peace and clarity in the silence. It turns out too much stimulus is too much stimulus. And I got a lot of benefit from just sitting in the peace and quiet a little bit when I was eating a meal. I was like, wow, this is really nice. It's a really beautiful day. I wasn't worried about my goals. I wasn't worried about what other people think. I wasn't stressed out about this. It wasn't the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. It was just like, I'm just here and now. And when we ask about the present moment, this is usually common knowledge, but yeah, being in the present moment feels really good. And I think smartphones make it really hard to do that, to be in the present moment. So I got a lot of peace and clarity in the silence, and a little bit of silence because it tends to peel back like a lot of just the bullshit and lets you just be you, like where you're at right now. Like all this pressure that we put on ourselves, I feel like a lot of it's just the comparison game, just believing we need to be somewhere where we're not. So I got a lot of peace and clarity just in the silence from getting away from the smartphone. And last but not least, so we're talking about smartphone detox. The key takeaways from yesterday is just setting boundaries. And I believe the only way to know how to set a boundary is to go without. So I went without the tool, the smartphone tool, we went without it. And then I was seeing what times of the day would I actually want to use this thing? What activity, what apps do I actually need? And I feel like I was only able to figure this out by writing it down. And I wrote down, I really like X, Twitter. I really like LinkedIn. I don't really like, this is live on Facebook, but the bit of a rabbit hole for me. Twitch, bit of a rabbit hole for me. Instagram, rabbit hole, not really too fond on it. So it's like, oh, discovering what apps I actually want to use. What times do I want to post on these applications? And just learning and setting the boundaries and what I was watching. So I was talking yesterday about watching some video games, watching like just a bunch of random fitness stuff. That's not really that productive. Just like people getting huge and massive, or like food stuff or whatever, a bunch of random stuff that's not in alignment with really what I'm trying to do with my life and my career. So just discovering that, I believe, helped me discover the boundaries that I want to set. And I got a good idea of like after 5 p.m., I'm going to allow myself to look at a few things and then go from there. But during the workday, I'm going to be doing work. And I love what I do for work. So if I'm completely immersed in that from the day until the later afternoon, then that's fine with me. So, but each person's got to set their own, like there's a million different lines because everyone's on their own spectrum. So you got to figure that out for yourself when you're really comfortable with doing it and when you want to do it. Okay, so setting boundaries is going to be a key to our performance. So these were my smartphone detox takeaways. I had fun with this. I'd highly recommend doing a 24-hour without your smartphone just to see how it is. I mean, so many people, I get this like, yeah, but I do this on it. Yeah, but I do this on it. Yeah, but if your happiness and your ability to live in the present moment is that important to you, then I think that putting this away and just giving it a day, like 24 hours isn't going to completely upside flip your business, but 24 hours without it could possibly bring the awareness and the boundaries that just what you need to help you bring like a happier and healthier life going far into the future. So a lot of people will make an excuse of why I can't use my phone because I got to use it. I have this going on and I got to do that. And it's like, there's ways to work around it. If you're a real entrepreneur, if you're somebody who wants to genuinely improve, like, then we can figure it out, right? There's always a solution to the problem. But if you can't get away from something for 24 hours, I would argue you're addicted to it, but that's just me. Okay. So I wanted to run through just the signs of addiction really quick. So just to show. So it's like, okay, I want to get Tanner, that's great. I'm glad the experiment went well for you. That's awesome, handy dandy. But what are some things I can notice just to know if I am actually addicted to my smartphone, if I can get away from it? So if you have loss of control, if you watch this and you're like, hey, I want to do that. I want to go 24 hours and you just cannot control yourself from picking it up, that's a sign of addiction. Or if you decide you do not want it, but you continue to crave it, you're thinking about it, you're like, you keep trying to reach for it, craving. Tolerance, like when you're looking at your phone, it's really not even bringing you joy. It's just making you feel like crap because you just keep scrolling, looking through it. That's not good. You're neglecting responsibilities. You keep saying you want to write a book. You keep saying you want to grow a business and you want to figure out your career and your life, and you're just not doing that, but you still have 3 hours of screen time. That's a problem. Loss of interest. You're just not taking on new activities. Secrecy and deception, literally lying to people about what you're watching or how much time you're putting into it. You're like, oh, they're like, oh, what are you up to? Oh, I'm browsing for my career and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And really, you're just like watching videos on YouTube that are like mindless and not helping you achieve your stuff. So lying about it is not good. That means addiction. And then lastly, failed attempts to quit, like you trying to quit and you cannot. So these are all signs of addiction. If you need help with any of this, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Go over here. So if you're struggling with addiction to your smartphone, you can always go to talktotanner.com. So we go over to talktotanner.com, be the first one that pops up. You can go over to contact and you can schedule a call with me. We can chat we can have some coffee. We can just hang out. We can talk about smartphones. We can talk about your goals, what you're trying to do and achieve this year. And if, let me go ahead. I'm still giving away through the end of the year a full-on discount code. So you get 100% off. You get 100% off of the one-page life plan course. So if you want to reach out to me and talk a bit more about that, you can as well. So I'm still giving this out for another 10 people. So if you want to check that out, please let me know. Okay, friends, that's all I had for this morning. I'm going to go ahead and kick this off the screen. But going 24 hours without the smartphone, I thought it was a really awesome experiment. I think I'm just learning that I want to be in control of the tool. I don't want it to be in control of me. And setting boundaries is going to be probably my biggest takeaway from it, and continue to just focus and give more time to the things I want to give my time to in this lifetime, to take on the activities that are going to help me become the person I know I am capable of being and the person I want to be, to not only feel good about my life, but also be a leader and help other people become their best and fullest potential too. So that's our purpose here. And we ain't quitting until we achieve and kind of keep striving for it. So it's an ongoing thing. It's really fun. So cheers to personal development. Cheers to smartphone detox. And if you need absolutely any help, you can always go to talktanner.com. That's all I have, friends. I will be back here live with another episode of the Talk Tanner Morning Show. Episode 400 coming up. Episode 400, another milestone for the show. So really excited about that. But episode 400 coming up November 16th, tomorrow, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. So catch you guys later. Watch out for that smartphone usage. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.